Hey, this is Keith from Save the Rust. So we're on part 5 of our build of our 1942 Harley. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all the parts we have here together and assemble this bike into a mock-up stage so we know what we have and what we're going to need. So going through the front wheel on the 1942 Harley, and one side didn't even have bearings in the cage. Everything is dry. And the other side had bearings, but they were dry. Everything was bone dry. That is not how you want to find any of this stuff. Even moving it as short as distances I have, I hope I didn't do any damage to the bearing races. From this first, look, they don't look great, but I'm going to clean them up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite and we'll see what we have. Got the front wheel all back together. Cleaned up the race a little bit more. It looks really good. Obviously, there's no tube in here, so we're going to put a tube in it, and then we're going to install the brake drum and then look at getting it onto the Springer. So this is the front brake drum on the 42 WLC. It is the same as a big twin. So this would have been the same brake drum they used on big inch flatheads, on pans, on knuckleheads. One of the things that you'll notice is there's no pins like the back brake hub. So on the back brake hub, because of the sprocket, it needs, twice the amount of anchoring points on the hub. But on the front, they don't require it. So this one also didn't come with any studs. So here's our studs. Here's our number, 43530. I happen to have a couple extra parts. So we'll go in our pre-1984 stuff. And it should be in this box. And there's another kit, and here's some loose ones. So there's a pack of 5, and we'll put those on, and then we can attach. So I'm about to show you the differences between the WLC front brake drum and backing plate and a WLA. So this is WLC, same as a big twin Springer. So same as knuckle and 48 pan and big inch flathead. This is the backing plate for a WLC, also knuckle, etc. This is a WLA brake drum, and what you'll notice right off the hop is it's got an integral hub and brake all in one, which is really more of a British style than anything. Then this is the backing plate. So here's the two differences in the backing plates. You can see completely different styles. And then here's the brakes. So different drums. And this one's got the star hub. This one's got an integral hub. I'm not sure about that one. That one's could be a different version of this, but I'm not too sure. This one's flatter here and this one's rounded. And then I just got assorted components that go with it. I just haven't had too much experience with these, so that's all I can tell you. Is I can show you the differences here. So before we put the transmission into the frame, I took all the screws off, and let's take a look at the inside of the tranny. What we're going to just look for is any chipped gears, anything that would tell us that, anything bad. That's what we're looking for. It's nice to see oil in there. So everything looks good so far. So by moving this as I'm changing the gears. And everything seems to be moving along quite well. So one of the things I did notice when I picked up this transmission, there's a couple issues with the transmission. So this, see this bolt, someone made this. This is what should be in there. This is your kicker spring return mount. Like this is where your anchor point is. So again, see the size of this hole? That's not factory. Someone has drilled that out. Here's what it should look like. So this point right here, that's that same hole. And what that is it goes through the case and it goes into the door of the transmission. So this will come off in the future when I go to actually rebuild this bike. This will come off, it'll get tossed on the shelf, and it'll get replaced. So since the last episode, I went and I put a new tube in the tire, got it all blown up, and ready to assemble that onto this chassis. And then I went and I pulled all my hardware. This is just generic hardware, all Parkerized. This is Harley hardware. You know, there's some transmission stuff here. There's different nuts and bolts. All kinds of different parts that are all mostly Parkerized. Here's your rear stand catch that we're gonna need. There's all kinds of different components here that this is all Springer stuff. So first order of business is installing the brake backing plate. So there's a washer here, there's a spacer that goes through this. The spacer goes in from the back side. There should be a seal and then a spring. I don't have those. So we'll just, we'll put that on when it's final assembly. So put that on. Then you just push it through the Springer rocker. Take this nut. And I'll tighten it up. But so you want to have this piece at the top. I don't have a brake shackle. It didn't come with this, so I'll have to get one. But the brake shackle would mount it from here to this point. It's a straight arm. That's what holds the brake in position. I got this wheel chock in my way, so it's going to make life a little bit difficult. We'll try it this way. So I finally got the tire in. So what you got to do is you got to lift in position. It would hold better if I had brake shoes on it, but I don't have any brake shoes. Then there's the spacer that goes on this side. One of the things about putting these bikes together is getting the proper hardware, getting the proper spacers, the U-bolts, like the U-clamps, like this. There's so many different versions of these for different applications. One's for the, for the crash bar, for the passenger peg mounts, for air cleaner, for the coil. And they're all different. So it's same with axle spacers. I've bought a lot of stuff over the years. You're going through boxes, you're finding axle spacers. It's hard sometimes to identify them, or until you know what you're looking for. So let's get this axle in. So we put the T-handle on the opposite side. So I got the wheel in, I got the axle on. this nut's all tight, and I took it off those stands, and now put it in the wheel chock. I will get a strap, tie this down just for safety's sakes, but the rear stand really helps keep this bike solid. So let's get this motor put in. Okay, well, I'll put that.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on. Hold on.
A little bit more. Over there. Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
How's the front look?
Okay.
What's sitting here? Oh, there's a bolt here.
And do you want me to put this bolt in?
Yep. Is it in?
Nope, not yet. Keep going. Come like over there. There we go. Don't need to do any more. What else is in there?
Okay.
I'll put the two last ones in.
No, that one's just that one's too small. There we get the motor positioned. What we'll have to do still is put all the hardware in the proper way, and then we can put the transmission in. Thanks to my buddy Waylon for the help. So one of the best pointers that was ever given to me right from the start was when you start installing a motor, first thing you do is you tighten up one of your back bolts. So when you put the motor in, what you want to do is you kind of want to place it in and then see which one hits the frame first. Because what happens is over the years, frames twist a little bit, they get out of alignment, they can bend, and what happens is what you have to do to compensate that is you tighten up your one bolt, then you go to the other side, take feeler gauge, and you start seeing if there's any room for a spacer. Like you could cut up a piece of tin can or something to take up the space. You never want to just take the bolt and just, I'll tighten it up, That's the wrong way. That's how you break things. If you ever seen engines, Harley motors with broken engine mounts, that's because of that scenario. They've, not always, but that's a good reason why they have broken. So what you want to do is you tighten up the back one, then you go to the second. There's two mounting bolts on this. So there's two different case halves. So one case half per side goes to the frame, and you'll put the bolt in after you try the feeler gauges and see how much space you have. Sometimes you might not have any if you're lucky. One of the other things you want to do too is before you put a motor in, on your mounting platforms where your motor goes, if it's been painted, powder coated, whatever the case, you want to take a file and you want to file that down. You want to get all that paint gone because you want metal to metal surface. And that way, over time, your motor isn't working and wearing through that layer of paint and primer and then causing your motor to come loose. So you got to make that plane perfect. And another thing is the paint will go on, it'll be higher and lower in spots. So you just have to take off that layer of paint and primer. So once you get the back mounts all set up, you go and you use a feeler gauge on the front mounts, and sometimes you can literally see a space. On this one, I don't see a space, but I will still take a feeler gauge to it. And then what you do is you just use different shim stock, there's different thicknesses, and Yeah, that's one of the best things that was ever taught to me. And that goes along with everything. If you're spacing out, if you got a set of gas tanks and they're not fitting on the 3 points, let's say on this bike, space it out. When you try and pull them in, that's when you're gonna break mounting brackets or components. It just has to be shimmed. Can't overstress that enough. So let's put the transmission in. There's 3 mounting bolts on these transmissions. The earlier ones were a 2-bolt transmission. So went into my hardware, and these are the proper nuts and washers for these transmissions. So with the transmission installed, we're going to end this episode. Watch for our next episode when we put the rear fender on, we'll put the dash on, and the gas tanks, and a couple other parts. We are Save the Rust. This is what we do. This is who we are. Have a great day.